Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Clara Benitez Cortez. We had multiple inches of rain and lightning show in almost every neighborhood last night. Take a look at that, with upwards of 4 inches reported in some neighborhoods. And the question now, is the wet weather over? Well, for that, let's turn it over to meteorologist Stephanie Lauber for a first look at our forecast. So, Steph, should neighbors look out for more weather, or is it over?
Well, the rainy stuff is pretty much done. The last of it is wrapping up, but I think it was a pretty successful event. Our first exciting bout of weather in quite some time, and just about everybody got in on this rainfall. Of course, some of us were luckier than others, but this round of rain that moved in last night was good. There are a lot of benefits, a lot of positives from this. You don't need me to tell you that, but let's review the radar as this line of storms came through. So our cold front was kind of sitting right on our doorstep for about 6 to 8 hours before it finally started moving across the coastal bend this morning. And you see all these vibrant colors on the radar showing very heavy rainfall at times for some of our neighborhoods. And at this point, things are done. Not looking at any more rainfall. The last of that has just moved off our coast. So at this point, we're still transitioning to what the cold front brings: cooler and drier air, at least into relevant terms of what we've had so far. But across the watershed, since sunset yesterday, we had a lot of positives in the watershed, including a very big downpour directly over Choke Canyon. So we'll talk about how beneficial this was for us coming up in your full forecast ahead.
I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Jim Wells County. In about 2 years, this well behind me will be closed. People who live in the English Acres community expect to have clean drinking water. Residents tell me they've waited far too long.
This is the one I use to make my meals, to cook.
Amanda Vidal has lived here in English Acres community since 1999 to be closer to family, but it hasn't been easy.
Since I've been here, I've been through with this ugly water that comes out.
This has been the reality for her and everyone else here, and they've been waiting for a change.
Water is the main thing in our life. It's like the oxygen. Water and oxygen, as long as we have that, and I don't have only to eat with papas and frijoles, that's fine, you know? But water is very important. You know?
On Wednesday, neighbors, including Amanda, attended the Jim Wells County Freshwater District meeting. They learned their water system is not compliant with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality.
In English Acres right now, we have water from a water well. We have a do not consume notice and a boil water notice because we don't have a chlorination system.
I met with Octavio Flores, the Jim Wells County Freshwater District's general manager. He tells me this has been a problem for more than 15 years.
This is the problem we've been having since '99. ¿Verdad? I'm glad que se va a mover, que se va a hacer algo.
But relief could be on the way. The district just received a $914,000 grant from the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. It's going towards a better water system for the English Acres. The funds will cover water distribution lines, water meters, and seal the existing water well. Residents will get connected to Alice's water system. So far, 27 of them have applied. County officials tell me the next step for the county's freshwater district is to complete the environmental impact studies before getting final approval from TCEQ. In Jim Wells County, I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter, KRIS 6 News.
All right, Melissa, thank you. And safety concerns are being raised after a man climbed the cables of the New Harbor Bridge before first responders brought him down yesterday afternoon. Neighborhood News reporter Alexis Scott spoke with Assistant Fire Chief Tony Perez about his team and how he handles these high-risk situations. Chief Perez says his team conducts annual trainings. They have specialized equipment and ladders for this type of rescue.
We have to do training and we have to be prepared to respond to that. So fortunately for us, we had an idea about the bridge, long before it was even built. So even in the process of it being built, we were able to do training along the way.
In a statement from Flatiron Dragados, the company that oversees the Harbor Bridge, they say they are reviewing Wednesday's incident with TxDOT to assess security measures and prevent public breaches. It's unclear exactly how the man successfully climbed up there. Now, a heads up for drivers. Part of Everhart Road is shutting down tonight. Starting at 11 p.m., all of Everhart will be closed from SPID to Lamont Street. If you're not familiar with Lamont Street, that's where the post office is. The road is scheduled to reopen tomorrow morning at 6. Crews will work on new water services to businesses in the area. Now, they will also pour concrete at McCardle Road. It's all a part of the ongoing road improvement project. Now, as we previously reported, the City Council approved a design contract to extend Williams Drive on the city's south side. The council awarded the contract to Friesen Nichols at Tuesday's City Council meeting. The project will be extending Williams Drive from Rodfield Road to Lexington Road, a distance totaling about a half a mile. Now, this project will help improve traffic for the Synergy Entertainment Center coming to that area, but the design phase will start next month, and it does not include construction. The city plans to award the bid to a construction team in July of 2027. Neighborhood News reporter Tony Jaramillo spoke with at-large Councilman Mark Scott about the project.
My sense is if we can do half of it, and the second part, by the way, don't put it in until development comes. But I do think it's expensive and it's going to cost the ratepayers.
Now, there is no word yet where the money for the construction will come from. Now, we have more information about the shooting that took place at an ICE facility in Dallas yesterday morning. At a press conference earlier this afternoon, we learned that the man who allegedly shot 3 detainees with what police describe as a bolt-action sniper rifle acted alone, and according to the U.S. attorney, did this to terrorize ICE agents who he called human traffickers. Well, federal jobs are under threat as the clock ticks towards a government shutdown. The Trump administration is threatening to fire federal employees if a deal to fund the government isn't reached by September 30th. Unlike typical shutdowns where workers go on unpaid leave, the White House is raising the stakes. The administration says additional jobs will be lost for programs not consistent with the president's priorities.
I think you could very well end up with a closed country for a period of time.
Democrats are holding out for more health care funding in any agreement. President Trump canceled a planned White House meeting with congressional leaders today, saying no meeting could be productive. The stalemate affects workers nationwide, from the military to national parks. Well, first-time claims for unemployment benefits dropped last week to their lowest level since July. The Department of Labor says there were about 218,000 claims made last week. That's a drop of 14,000 from the week before. The drop shows layoffs aren't escalating as U.S. labor market weakens. Claims had jumped higher earlier this month, but that was due to fraudulent activity in Texas. Now, we have continuing coverage on the closing of Razu's Cajun Cafe. As we reported, the Southside restaurant unexpectedly closed, leaving dozens of employees without a job. Now, local businesses like Panjo's Pizza Parlor and Ginger Cafe are stepping in to help those who got a text their shift was terminated. Neighborhood News reporter Ana Conejo spoke with the owner of Panjo's Pizza Parlor, who shared why he felt he needed to help.
How they went about closing and not letting their employees know ahead of time, that kind of hurt my feelings, because especially getting closer to the holidays, you know, people are already struggling in this economy. So you add that on top of it, and it wasn't very fair.
Other restaurants and businesses are also hiring, hoping to make the transition easier for those workers.
It promised cash for simple tasks, and it's leaving people empty-handed. I'm Michaela Chavez, telling you about a scam that's targeting people of all ages right here at home.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
These days, everyone's trying to earn some extra cash, but don't believe everything you see online. I'm Michaela Chavez, your Sunrise Neighborhood News reporter downtown. A site called CloudBoost has made its way across the country, even here at home, scamming people out of thousands of dollars. A friend told a friend, and that's how Melissa Brewer got involved.
She had been doing it a week or two, and she's like, "Hey, Melissa, I think this is for real."
She's talking about CloudBoost. The site promises quick cash for simple tasks. Melissa invested $510 to start, and it seemed like a quick way to pay off medical bills.
I'm like, count me in. I am in.
Her job was to watch videos and boost social media posts. At first, it looked legit. She even pulled out her initial $510, giving her false security. But then she put in more money. Even her kids invested. And when it came time to cash out, they never saw that money again.
The money should have hit the bank by Wednesday, and it didn't.
To get the money you earned or even your money back, the site kept demanding more fees, making more promises. For Melissa, it was a new laptop, weekly pay, even paying for dinner with her family. And it was all done through chat.
You know, I work remote and we communicate via chat and Teams. It's not a red flag for me to communicate that way.
In the end, she lost about $15,000.
Now, this was so realistic. I'm not going to be embarrassed because I'm not the only one that fell for this.
Melissa says she usually spots scams, but this one looked too real. Her message to others who were scammed or introduced it to their friends and family: don't beat yourself up.
All she did was share an opportunity with me out of love. She didn't drag me kicking and screaming to this. I ran willingly with my arms wide open.
If you think you've been targeted, report it to the police, as well as the Better Business Bureau and the FTC. They take those reports to help warn others. And remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. In downtown, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Michaela Chavez, Chris 6 Sunrise.
All right, Michaela, thank you. Amazon will pay a record $2.5 billion to settle charges it tricked customers into Prime memberships. The Federal Trade Commission says the online giant made it hard for people to cancel their subscriptions. Amazon will pay $1 billion in penalties, the largest FTC fine ever. Another $1.5 billion goes directly to customers who were signed up without knowing it. The settlement covers customers who used Amazon's checkout system between 2019 and this year. Amazon admits no wrongdoing in the deal. Now, President Trump is expected to sign a new executive order on a TikTok deal. The move would let U.S. investors buy about 80% of the platform's U.S. assets. Trump says he has spoken with Chinese President Xi Jinping about the agreement. The president is expected to extend a pause on the TikTok ban for another 120 days until the deal is finalized. Now it's time for a look at our roadways. We send things over to Stephanie Lauber.
Well, Claudia, the commute is looking a lot better now than it did this morning. The view outside along SPID is a busy one. A lot of busy bees trying to get home, but how's it looking? The cars are moving, but do we have any slowdowns to tell you about? Not much. The usual stop and go on 37 as folks kind of approach that interchange, figure out what lane they need to be in for the new Harbor Bridge, or if they're going perhaps to downtown, all that jazz. But as you saw, a lot of cars on SPID. They're moving, but there are some slowdowns, a little bit of bottlenecking here on SPID where we approach that crosstown interchange. Saratoga's not doing too bad for this time of the afternoon, and if you're taking Staples, expect the usual delays. As you head out, make sure you stay safe and drive safe. Stick around, I'll have your forecast coming up. All right, here's a look at the big weather picture. Mysterious dashed black line over the coastal bend. What is that? That's not a front. That is just a trough of low pressure. It's what I like to call a wrinkle in the atmosphere. So at this point, I'm going to show you a small snippet of the big weather picture, and then we'll address what's going on. You don't see the front on here. It's long past us, but any trailing rainfall is hanging out over the Gulf. And then this low pressure is the reason why we still have some clouds hanging around. Yes, the front is through technically here at the ground level, but we still have some cold frontness to gain from the first cold front of fall. It's not that all of the benefits have not yet arrived. It takes time for that, but 12 to 24 hours after the front passes is when we see the best weather from that, the coolest and driest. And I have some pretty good news throughout this forecast, so let's get right to it. I'll show you what's going on with our reservoir. We picked up some decent rainfall, rolling the clock back to about sunset last night, around 7 p.m. This is how much rainfall fell across South Texas, even from the Houston area down through the Victoria Crossroads into the coastal bend and across our watershed out to the brush country. Not everyone got the really plentiful rainfall, but we definitely got some rainfall for most folks, and especially where we need it. There was the biggest thunderstorm of them all hung out over Choke Canyon, directly over the reservoir. So in here, we've got some radar estimates that we're picking up around 4 or 5 inches of rainfall around Choke Canyon. That's spectacular. We love that. But there were also some other heavy rainfall events in parts of McMullen, northern Duval, Jim Wells, and Live Oak counties. So that's in the watershed. It does help. And locally, our friends in Sampat County, out through Refugio County and Aransas County, the islands, did okay. We had a good drink of water in a short period of time. I would love to have more of this in the forecast, perhaps not as much all at once, but we've got a lot of color on this map, meaning most folks definitely had a good evening overall. But as we head on into the forecast, of course, the front's through, things are going to be changing. The first thing you've probably noticed is when you step outside, it's warm, but it's not that suffocating, sticky humidity out there. And we can see that by the numbers too. Your temperatures in white feels like temperatures in yellow. There isn't as much of a difference. Sure, we're still humid out there, but we're not feeling that summer-like humidity out there, just very oppressive. And over the next couple of hours, it's going to be feeling nice outside. We've got high school football tonight with Game Night South Texas. Hope you'll join us for it, but you might even want to go outside and enjoy the game because it is going to be feeling very comfortable. We will be in the upper 70s before midnight. And I want to point out the wind direction still coming from the southeast over the next couple of hours, but during the overnight, very early tomorrow morning, our wind direction is going to change from the north-northwest. That is when the dry air really starts to move into the coastal bend. So at this point, Muggy Meter shows we are still going to be dropping in humidity, so even more comfortable weather is on the way. And I think you're really going to like the numbers I have in the 7-day forecast. Expect a very nice start to the next couple of days with lows in the upper 60s, highs near 90.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
A stolen pony named Funky Monkey is back home safe and sound in Houston, but he had quite an adventure after thieves broke into his home and dragged him away, all caught on camera. Bill Barajas reports.
So this is Funky.
This is Funky Monkey. He is 15 years old. He has a terminal medical condition called Founder. You can see he's breathing kind of hard. That's an indication of sun pain.
And what is Founder?
Basically, he has diabetes for ponies.
Vanessa Riley runs Peace, Love, and Ponies. She says Funky is part of a special program that provides free rides to children with autism and other disabilities. But that didn't stop this trio from breaking into his corral and making off with him in the dead of night. The heist caught on several cameras. They took him just because he's so easygoing?
They grabbed him because it would have been impossible to grab the other ones. You saw them earlier. Did you get some footage of them running? Funky Monkey was the lowest hanging fruit.
The time about 3:45 in the morning. The thieves using a back gate to get in.
They broke this lock from the fence and they lifted this up out the concrete and they dragged Funky up through here 100 feet at the back of the shopping center, and then he's caught on video being dragged past the restaurant and past the other businesses.
Riley cares deeply about each and every one of these ponies. When she went to check on them in the morning and Funky was nowhere to be found, she quickly filed a police report and then took matters into her own hands. She drove around the neighborhood and stopped to talk to any and every person willing to listen. She also visited nearby businesses to ask them to check their cameras.
And I got out the car and I asked every homeless person, every person sitting on the street. I knew somebody knew something. I knew it. But I had several people in the neighborhood saying, we will find him and we will get him back. For some reason, it struck the heartstrings of not just regular people, but the homeless community too.
Then at 1 a.m., while at home, she got the tip she was waiting for.
We drove straight down Airline from here. We came over the bridge. So we're looking around and we saw Funky Monkey was tied to this, the chain link fence.
The touching reunion caught in this photo. Funky and Riley's son sharing a beautiful moment after being apart for what felt like.
Well, coming up next, the FIFA World Cup has mascots. We'll share those details with you after the break.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Welcome back. FIFA has unveiled the mascot for next year's World Cup. Exciting stuff. Clutch, Maple, and Zayu represents the 3 host nations. FIFA says each mascot symbolizes part of its country's culture. Clutch, the bald eagle, represents the United States, of course. Maple, the moose, represents Canada. And Zayu, the jaguar, hails from southern Mexico's jungles. The 2026 World Cup opening will kick off in Mexico on June 11th.
That's so exciting.
Exciting stuff. I love the World Cup. And, here in Texas, we'll have 2 places, Houston and also Dallas.
Oh, it's going to be very exciting. Very, very exciting stuff. But hopefully we'll have good weather by then. June tends to get pretty hot around here. We're going into fall. We've got some sunshine coming out behind these clouds, and it's a taste of fall outside, too. So high school football tonight, I think, is going to be very enjoyable. And look at this. The next 7 days. All right, we got 90s on the board, but there's an 89 on Monday, and these mornings are just going to be feeling spectacular. The key is the lack of humidity.
Alrighty, we'll take it for that Monday then. Everybody, we'll see you guys back here at 6 o'clock. Good night.
See you then.